For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass House Concurrent Resolution 92.
The clerk will report the title of the concurrent resolution.
House Calendar number 94, House Concurrent Resolution 92. Concurrent resolution authorizing the use of the Capitol grounds for the National Peace Officers Memorial Service and the National Honor Guard and Pipe Band Exhibition.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Barletta, and the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Carson, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous material on House Concurrent Resolution 92.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
House Concurrent Resolution 92 authorizes the use of the Capitol grounds for the annual National Peace Officers Memorial Service and the National Honor Guard and Pipe Band Exhibition. I am pleased to be the sponsor of this resolution, along with the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Carson. These events are held each year as part of Police Week to honor the men and women who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty. This year, over 110 federal, state, and local law enforcement officers will be honored for their ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives in the line of duty to protect us. 3 of these officers are from Pennsylvania, including one from my district, Correctional Officer Eric Williams of Nanticoke, Pennsylvania. Officer Williams was beaten and stabbed to death by an inmate in federal prison in Wayne County. These officers put their lives on the line every day, doing a hard job that protects law-abiding citizens from violent criminals. Officer Williams' sacrifice and the sacrifice of those like him should not be forgotten. I support the passage of this resolution. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chairman Barletta. Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, as a former law enforcement officer from the great state of Indiana, I'm a very proud supporter of this resolution to honor law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty in 2013. The 111 officers that will be honored in May have made the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of their local communities. Compared to last year, the number of officers slain has decreased by 8%. This represents the fewest number of officers killed since 1959. In addition, in 2013 had the lowest amount of officers' deaths related to firearms since 1887. Every life taken, Mr. Speaker, is one too many. So any reduction is significant to our officers, their families, and the communities that they serve. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, my hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana, is still grieving one of our own killed in the line of duty last year. Officer Rod Bradway, a 41-year-old Indianapolis Metro police officer, was killed while responding to a domestic violence dispute on September the 20th, 2013. Mr. Bradway was a 5-year veteran of the police department who was survived by his wife and 2 teenage daughters. He had already received the Indianapolis Police Department's Medal of Bravery and previously served as a Wayne Township firefighter and EMT. Thousands of residents of Indianapolis turned out for Officer Bradway's memorial service in downtown Indy. They believe, Mr. Speaker, as I do, that he was a hero who died serving others. My deepest condolences go to Officer Bradway's family and the rest of the hardworking Metro police officers. I strongly support this bill because I know that the National Peace Officers Memorial Service will show the proper respect to Officer Bradway and all other law enforcement officers who gave everything to protect our communities. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this tribute to our fallen law enforcement officers. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time, sir.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Mr. Speaker, I do not have any more speakers. If the gentleman from Indiana is prepared to close, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Indiana.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the balance of my time. I have no further comments.
The gentleman yields the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania yields back the balance of his time. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and agree to House Concurrent Resolution 92? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the concurrent resolution is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. What purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass House Concurrent Resolution 88.
The clerk will report the title of the concurrent resolution.
House Calendar Number 93, House Concurrent Resolution 88. Concurrent resolution authorizing the use of the Capitol grounds for the Greater Washington Soapbox Derby.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Barletta, and the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Carson, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on House Concurrent Resolution 88.
Without objection, so ordered. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
House Concurrent Resolution 88 authorizes the use of the Capitol grounds for the annual Greater Washington Soapbox Derby in June. I want to thank the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Hoyer, for introducing this resolution. He has been a longtime supporter of this event and the children involved each year. This event occurs annually on the Capitol grounds. The Soapbox Derby encourages children to show off their dedication, work, creativity as they compete for trophies. The winners of each division are qualified to compete in the National All-American Soapbox Derby held in Ohio. I support passage of this resolution. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Carson, is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to commend my very close and dear friend, Congressman Hoyer, for his dedication to the Greater Washington Soapbox Derby and for introducing this resolution on behalf of the Washington Regional Delegation. I support today's resolution, Mr. Speaker, authorizing the Greater Washington Soapbox Derby to use Capitol grounds. This event provides a terrific opportunity for children to learn the values of craftsmanship and competition as they build and race their vehicles. The very first Soapbox Derby race in Washington, D.C., Mr. Speaker, was run in 1938, and for the last 20 years, the official race site has been on Capitol Hill. With race cars approaching speeds of 25 miles per hour on Constitutional Avenue, this event provides a real thrill to kids and adults alike from across the region. Winners of this event, Mr. Speaker, go on to compete in the national competition in Akron, Ohio, where they compete against kids from all over the world. On race day, every Greater Washington Soapbox Derby participant starts the race day with a chance to become a world champion. I support this terrific opportunity, Mr. Speaker, for the children of Washington, D.C., and urge my colleagues to support the passage of this great resolution. I reserve the balance of my time, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Indiana.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Maryland.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank Mr. Carson and Mr. Barletta for bringing this bill to the floor. Mr. Speaker, for the 23rd straight year, I'm proud to sponsor this resolution allowing the Greater Washington Soapbox Derby Association to hold its 73rd annual race on the grounds of the United States Capitol on June 14th, which, by the way, Mr. Speaker, happens to be my birthday. This is a long-standing tradition that brings young people from around the area to the Capitol for fun and educational achievement, as Mr. Carson pointed out, and as Mr. Barletta has said. In 1938, Mr. Speaker, Norman Rocca beat 223 other racers to win the inaugural Greater Washington Soapbox Derby, which was held on New Hampshire Avenue. Over the years, thousands of the region's young people have participated in this great race. Dozens of boys and girls, ranging in age from 8 to 17, are divided into 3 divisions: stock, super stock, and masters. The local winner of each division will qualify to compete with racers from around the world in the All-American Soapbox Derby in Akron, Ohio. America's Soapbox Derbies have been called the greatest amateur racing event in the world. Every year they bring young people together with their parents and teach sportsmanship, hard work, pride of accomplishment. Not to mention engineering and awareness of how you make something that makes a difference. The spirit of competition that fuels these racers is the same spirit that has long energized our nation and business innovators, which all of these young people are and hopefully will continue to be. The young participants in these derbies are often sponsored by community groups, police departments, fire departments, and others who recognize in them great promise for the future. I continue to be incredibly proud of those from Maryland's 5th District who participate. We've celebrated a number of Soapbox Derby champions from the 5th District, including the winners from 2007, 2008, 2009, 2012, and 2013. You can see that Soapbox Derby is very important and popular in my district. The winners in 2007 and 2008 went on to prevail in the national championship. All of last year's winners were from Maryland's 5th District. Aspen Tomasello, who won the stock division, Brittany Sorley, who won the super stock division, and Jay Warnick, who won the masters division, and went on to become the 3rd St. Mary's County resident, the county in which I live, the most southern county in our state, to win the All-American Soapbox Derby in 6 years. We are very proud of them all. I want to thank those members who have co-sponsored this resolution: Representative Jerry Connolly, John Delaney, Donna Edwards, Jim Moran, Eleanor Holmes Norton, Chris Van Hollen, and my dear friend Frank Wolf. And I urge my colleagues to support this resolution and to come to the Soapbox Derby in action. And I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
The gentleman from Maryland may be interested to know that at our markup of this resolution, 2 of our committee members mentioned that they were proud Soapbox Derby champions, Mr. Nolan of Minnesota and Mr. Williams of Texas, and they also joked that today they now stand on the soapbox here in Congress. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Indiana.
Mr. Speaker, may I ask my colleague, the Honorable Chairman Barletta, if he has any other speakers?
Does the gentleman have any other speakers?
I have no other speakers. I reserve
the gentleman has no other speakers.
Mr. Speaker, I continue to reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
I'll reserve my time.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania recognizes the gentleman from Indiana is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you. This has been a proud tradition across the nation, including in Pennsylvania. In fact, in 1975, 11-year-old Karen Steed of Lower Bucks County, Pennsylvania, became the first girl to win the All-American Soapbox Derby. Again, I'd like to thank the Minority Whip for giving us an opportunity each year to highlight this event and its importance. Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and agree to House Concurrent Resolution 88? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the concurrent resolution is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.